Oh boy. My bad again. I'm sorry, guys. I apologize for that. I'm DS Elias. Welcome to the pot. This is where culture meets the kitchen. This is where, whether we're talking psychology, food, spirit of society, we always bring it back to what feeds us culturally and literally. So grab a plate, pull up a chair, and let's stir the pot. So let me know where you're watching from. And also, I can smell something. Somebody's cooking out there. What are you guys cooking up for dinner? Did you already have dinner? I want to know where you're watching from and what are your dinner plans tonight? Did you already eat? I'm very curious. Last night, as I told you, I had my chocolate chip cookies. That's all I needed. I had a sweet tooth last night, and that was all I needed. And wow, they were so good. I think I have a recipe, a peanut butter recipe. That was my first video. I just thought about that. Wow. My first video was a peanut butter chocolate chip cookie. It is so good if you're into that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm DS Elias. This is the Food Plane YouTube channel. You're watching The Pot. We're here every Thursday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're all about food and culture. And America's Best Food Destinations Episode 3 returns this Saturday at 11 a.m. So in case you missed let me tell you what's going on. I've embarked on a journey to find America's best food destinations. So I am traveling all of America to show you America's best food destinations. So episode 3 is this Saturday, 11 a.m. We've already showed you, we have episode 1 available for you to watch. We also have episode 2, and it was where we visited one of the best pizzas in all of America, Frank Pepe's Pizza. Oh my goodness, we were just there recently. We had a great time. The pizza was amazing. And if you didn't see it, here's a little appetizer, an hors d'oeuvre, an amuse-bouche, something just to whet your appetite. Hey, I'm DS Elias, and I'm coming to you from where many people say is the best pizza in the United States of America. We're talking New Haven, Connecticut. We're talking Frank Pepe's. That's it. That's all that is. Just a little tasty taste. Just a little tasty taste. It was so much fun. You got to watch. If you missed episode 1, the birthplace of the hamburger is episode 1. One of the best pizzas in America, and what makes New Haven style pizza so special is in episode 2. This week we are visiting a very unique place. So this Saturday at 11 a.m. Also, at least once a month here on the Food Plane, we do giveaways of up to $100. So just in the past 30 days, in the past month, we've given away $200 to 2 different people. So at any time, at least once a month, I do not tell you when we're doing it. It'll happen at least once a month, and it'll happen at any time in the podcast. So it can happen in 5 minutes. It can happen in 10 minutes. It can happen during the interview. It could happen after the interview. So don't miss a moment. Keep your eyes glued. Turn on those notifications. All right. So let me see who is in the chat. Who is in the house? Salt and Silence is here. She says, hi, DS. Hi, passengers of the Food Plane. Excited for tonight. Yeah, last night we were here with Dr. Tashi. We were talking all things AI, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We had a great time. It was so informative. It was a special night. So if you missed that, you can watch that too. It's available to watch. Ladies and gentlemen, look who's in the house. G.R. Houston. Jack is in the house. She says, good evening. She says hello to Salt and Silence. Cheeseburgers and fries. Yummy. Cheeseburgers and fries. That's okay. Can I come over? I'm watching from Arlington, Texas, says G.R. Houston Jack. And it's date night. We're doing Thai after the show. Wow, I love me some pad thai, and then the spring rolls. Oh my goodness. They have that crispy, that little small crispy roll that they have. Oh, pineapple rice. Oh, gee, I would love to know what you guys plan on eating. I make a good pad thai. We have to do that for the show. Definitely have to do that for the show. Salt and Silence says, sounds yummy, G. Oh yeah, the Hubs and I enjoy Thai dishes. I don't blame you. Love a good pad thai, and the iced tea, yes, is delicious. Absolutely. It's a must have, right? Yeah, absolutely. Yes. All right. So here's today's. So which country is widely, this is not the giveaway, by the way, like I told you yesterday, you will know when the trivia is connected to the giveaway. All right, I'm not saying we're not doing a giveaway today, and neither am I saying we are. Remember, I told you I don't tell you, but this is not for the giveaway. However, it's fun. So let me know in the comments what you think the answer is. Which country is widely credited as the birthplace of the croissant? Yeah, the croissant, huh? Let me know in the comments. And in the meantime, here's your hospitality news. That's right, the Great Taste Awards just took place. They're an organized guild of fine food experts, one of the most respected food competitions in the world. More than 15,000 food and drink products from over 100 countries, blind tasted by 800 plus judges. Only about 2% of entries earned the coveted 3 stars. And this right here was one of the products that won. It is a bacon from the producer, the Holly Hog in the UK. It's called Black Treacle Bacon. Check that out. Isn't that interesting? It's not what we normally, when we think of bacon, it looks like pastrami really to me. But anyway, it's that good. I gotta try it. They say it's that good. It won the award. And of course, this gochujang from Jungdam in South Korea. That's the producer is Jungdam, Jungdam, and this gochujang won the award. Now, usually I use this one. This is the one most people are probably familiar with, but this is the one winning all the awards. Very interesting. And only 5 beers received the top honor, and this year it went to Raspberry Sour Beer from Vault City Brewing in Scotland. Let me know in the comments if any of you have had any of these. And also, today is National Root Beer Float Day in the United States, a perfect excuse for restaurants and ice cream shops to promote root beer float specials. Let me know in the comments if you guys have had any of that. Do you guys like a good root beer float? Let me know. Let's check the comments out. All right, we got that. Yeah. Oh yeah, yep, we got that. Love a good pad thai. We got that. I do love the corn patties and those cheese rolls for appetizers. I wouldn't think that maybe maybe they're serving an Americanized version of. I've never heard of that. Corn being used in Thai food. That's interesting. And the cheese rolls, never heard of it, but that's very interesting. GR Houston, Jack says France. Good, I hear you. You'll be surprised, huh? France. All right. All right. Lord knows I loved walking up to the fresh chocolate croissants while in Paris. The best. Wow, gee, you've been to Paris. That's amazing. I'm hoping to go by the end of next year, and I'll show you everything. Wow, that's so cool. How many times have you been there? Wow, that bacon looks amazing, says Of Salt and Silence Poetry. Love a good root beer float. Hell yeah, love me a good root beer float. All right, so here is the trivia answer. Let me get this banner off. How you guys doing today? Huh? How are you guys doing today? It's hot over here in the East Coast. GR Houston Jack says, I am always down for a good root beer float. Of course. Hey, we're in Texas. The menu will always meet the moment. I hear you. I hear you, G. All right. Wow. So yesterday we made a huge announcement. I'm so excited about our guest today. I just want to hurry up and get him on because we got some meat to chew on today. All right. So, cooking classes. I mentioned it to you yesterday. So today I put out a video with all the information. I am giving you the opportunity to learn how to make fine dining dishes at home. We are going to get together once a month for 1 hour, and I'm going to teach you how to make fine dining quality meals. Now, somebody was asking me, why don't you address when somebody says, well, I could just find a recipe online? And here's the thing. If I gave you a recipe for chocolate souffle, or if I gave you a recipe for a beurre blanc, do you know how many things can go wrong? A souffle is one of the most feared dishes that even Michelin star chefs fear. Okay, so it's about technique, and that's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you technique. I'm going to show you how to combine flavors. Every dish that I show you is going to sharpen your skills. So anyway, check out the video. It's called Cooking Classes, and it has all the information. If you refer a person that joins the cooking class and they tell me that you referred them, you get $2 for every person that is referred. So definitely you're going to want to check that out. All right, let's go back. Oh, okay, G. Only visited parents once for a home trade show. Wow, but that must have been awesome. That must have been, I've never been there. Good. It's too humid tonight, though. Yeah, it is in the East Coast. Dr. Tashi is in the house. She was here last night as our special guest, and she is back. It's so good to see you, Dr. Tashi. Thank you for yesterday. I had so much fun. I watched the replay. I think I watched it twice. I had so much fun. I had some popcorn. I watched it. I looked out in the window and told everybody in the neighborhood, y'all got to come over. Everybody going to watch my show. Anyway. Salt and Silence says, trivia answer, it has to be France. You want the answer. I'm going to give it to you right now so we can get our good friend Jonny Edward in here. Souffles are no joke. That's true. Yeah, GR. That's why when people say, well, I could just go online and get a recipe and learn how to do all this in 1 hour, and you can ask questions to the video that you're watching and they're going to answer you back. No, they're not. Come on. And for $7.99, who in the world is $7.99 to learn how to make this kind of food? Wow. GR Houston Jack says, hey, Dr. Tashi. Dr. Tashi says hello to everyone. And Dr. Tashi says, I had a great time. Oh, my Lord, and so did I. So let me tell you, before we bring in our very special guest, which I'm so excited to have on, I've been itching for this interview for so long, since I last saw him on GR Houston Jack's show. I'll tell him more about that in a minute. Excuse me. Let me have a little cheers, everyone. All right. So next week, we are here every Thursday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And I am so excited because next week, ladies and gentlemen, Jack Vale will be in the house, the creator of The Pooter. Yep, millions and millions viral videos. And he's going to be talking about his brand new movie, his journey, his faith, his purpose, and his impact. We're going to have a lot of laughs. Next week, Jack Vale himself will be here talking about that movie about Carmen. Now, y'all know Carmen, right? How many of you know who Carmen is, by the way? Excuse me. If you know who Carmen is, he was a, excuse me, I got the air conditioner hitting me again. So Carmen was a Christian faith-based singer that was extremely successful for being we'll talk more about this next week, but he was groundbreaking in the way he delivered his music. He was a storyteller in his music. He did visuals, he did dramas, he did theatric videos, and it got the world's attention. He was selling out arenas everywhere. He was very, very famous. And Jack Vale is making a movie about him. So that's very interesting. All right, ladies and gentlemen, cheers again. I am super excited. The answer to the trivia was Austria. Austria, yes. France's most iconic pastry, the croissant, did not come from France. It evolved from an Austrian dish called Kipferl. I may be pronouncing it wrong. Kipferl. It was a croissant. It was a crescent-shaped pastry that was around for centuries before the French refined it. So yeah, interesting, huh? What do you guys think about that? Carmen. Oh yeah, salted. Yes, Carmen was revolutionary. Exactly. Yeah. GR Houston Jack says never heard of him. My goodness, you should watch his videos on YouTube. Amazing. What a story. He passed away recently, and what a story. He touched a lot of lives. Really? Austria? I had no idea. Yeah. Blew your mind, huh? Oh, okay. 6767. Hello, Jem. Thanks for being here. What? She said, what? I can't believe it. Austria. Wow. Look at what you learn here on the food plane. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Coming up next, portrait photographer, educator, speaker, creative storyteller, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Jonny Edward is going to come and help us stir the pot. Oh, no. I'm sorry, guys. Again, I got to get him on. Hold on. Hold on. We got this. There we go. Look at him. Jonny, thank you so much for being here. So good to see you.
Yeah, so good to see you as well. Thank you for inviting me to be part of the program.
Man, you always look great. Look at you, man. Look at that smile. Look at your background. I love your style. So, all right. So I watched you on GR Houston Jack. Never heard of you. I never heard of you. And I watched that show. And I just, your vibes were, I could be like, wow, there's something about him that's really special. And then once you opened your mouth, it was revealed what it was. Wow. And then I follow you now on Instagram. I've seen your videos, Jonny, and the things you say to inspire, to motivate, to strengthen, to encourage and comfort people. Wow, we need your voice. We need more Jonny Edwards. My goodness. Jonny, where are you from?
Chicago originally, but I'm based in Denver, but I've lived all around the country. But yeah, originally Chi-Town, now I'm in the mountains. So life takes you different places.
So exactly. So you were born in Chicago?
I was, yeah.
Wow. And how long were you there before you moved?
Oh, I had kind of a troubled childhood. So I was only there until I was 2 or 3. And then we literally moved around. It was East Coast, West Coast, Pacific Northwest, South. As a boy, I was pretty much everywhere. So yeah, it was a wild ride as a young man.
Yeah. Do you have any memories of the food of deep dish?
Oh yeah, of course. And I've been back there a lot. That's still obviously a point of big contention. My heart's in Chicago and in New York. So all my friends are constantly the pizza wars, the hot dog wars, all of it is a constant.
Right. Wow, that's so super cool. So Jonny, real quick, this is a segment we like to call Snack to the Future. All right. All right. So everybody, let me know in the comments if you remember this. Jonny, do you remember this at all?
Honestly, I don't think I do. And I'm definitely old enough for it. I just don't think I remember it.
Back in the 90s, this is a drink that it was very sweet. It was actually very good. And it's funny how people thought when they had it, they felt like they had Cristal or Dom Perignon. Everybody felt so fancy having this. So this is anyway, Snack to the Future is about nostalgia. So
of course.
We have a little all right. So how about any of these roll-ups?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Fruit roll-ups. That was it in grade school. You take the whole thing, put it in your mouth at once and just let the day fade away.
Dunkaroos, huh? Go-Gurt. Oh my goodness.
All of them. All the things I would steal from my friends who had money when I went to visit them at their houses.
All right. Tostinos. I remember those commercials. Wow. For the pizza rolls. Those are awful.
So surreal.
Did you like them?
Yeah, I did. I like the oven, the Ninja Turtle popsicles from the ice cream truck,
Oh,
the
you
whole thing.
remember these?
Oh,
Wow.
absolutely.
That is super cool. That is super cool. Wow, Johnny, I'm so happy you're here. So, Johnny,
Likewise.
I read that you received your first camera at a young age. What was it about photography that captivated you?
I think at that age, I don't necessarily know that I was captivated. I think that I was just fascinated. I think that's probably a better word because, like I had mentioned, I had a really troubled childhood, so I was always moving around. I was always leaving friends behind. I was always the new kid at school. So a family member gifted me a Polaroid, and then what I would do is take photos of these people who were important in my life, of places that were important in my life. And so then I had this shoebox of memories, and that allowed me to carry those things with me. So I think I associated photography with like love and with structure and with stability and with expression and with connection. And I didn't even know those things were happening in my mind. But I think that planted a seed that would take many, many years, many decades to finally fruit in my life. But it was a beautiful gesture from my family member, and it really helped out a young boy who is struggling and dealing with a lot.
Wow, amazing, amazing. Salt and Silence says, looking sharp, sir. Yes, he does. He does. I love his stilo. I love Johnny Stilo. GR Houston Jack says, Johnny stays sharp. Yep. Yep. Yes, he does. Pizza Wars for sure. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Johnny, the thing we just did an episode. We went to New Haven recently,
Yeah.
where in America, that's like the main pizza war is New York and New Haven.
Yeah.
And somebody asked me, I'm from Manhattan, New York. So
Yeah.
they asked me, who do you think is better? And
Yeah.
I said, that's hard to answer because it's not that it's better, it's just different.
Different. That's the big thing.
Have you had New Haven's pizza?
I haven't. No, I haven't.
my
I'll definitely have to check
goodness.
it out next time I'm on the East Coast.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm from New York, and I never knew that they were considered in New Haven some of the best pizza in America.
That's a trip.
And some people say they're the pizza capital of the world. So anyway, they use a coal-fired oven, and
Okay.
their pizza is known for a char. You
Yeah.
may see it as burnt, but it's not burnt. It's actually
Yeah.
charred.
Okay.
Burnt is bitter, char has
Yeah.
flavor.
Yeah.
So New Haven pizza has that char in it. They use coal-fired ovens. So that's what makes it unique.
Okay.
But the pizza wars, that's how I would answer that.
Yeah.
Never tasted it, she says. That looks like a hangover guarantee. What, the Alizé? The Alizé, like a Cisco, huh? Remember Cisco, Johnny?
Oh, of course.
Oh my
Absolutely.
goodness.
Song
Johnny
songs
remembers
straight out of the bed. I've done that at karaoke. I've
Liquor-
absolutely sung some Cisco at karaoke.
Yeah, liquor crack, huh?
Yeah.
All right. I do remember it, though, GR says. Oh my gosh, Alizé was poison, Dr. Tashi says. I've never had it. Dr. Tashi, I am super glad that you've never had it. Okay. So, Johnny, before photography became your career,
Yeah.
you studied biochemistry and worked in other fields, even in
I
the
did.
food industry.
Yeah.
At what moment did you realize you were meant to be a photographer?
I think it was probably about like 12 or 13 years ago. I was in a really bad place in my life, and a dear friend of mine recommended that I pick up a camera just to try and reconnect with part of myself. And at that point in time, I was dealing with like a lot of depression and a lot of anxiety, and I just didn't feel good. I didn't feel like I had a place or purpose in this world. And so the camera came, I charged up the batteries. It took forever. I was geeking out about it because I'm a nerd at heart. And I went across the street, and there was this really beautiful lake that I lived across from at that point in time. And there was this gorgeous crimson red sunset. And I took a photo, and I looked at the back of my camera, and it was like I could take a breath for the first time in as long as I could remember. So I realized in that moment that for so long I had felt like I was drowning, even though I was doing what most people perceive to be well in life. I wasn't happy. I didn't have any peace. I didn't have any fulfillment. And I think it was in that moment, like I felt reconnected to a part of myself that I had ignored for so long and that had been suppressed for so long. And it was like coming up for air. And I picked up that camera that night, and I've never put it down since. So it took a while for it to become a profession, but I knew then that that would always be part of my life moving forward. And then it just kind of snowballed over the course of time. And now here I am, because life's surreal.
Yeah. Wow. Johnny, you talk a lot about the struggles, and I appreciate that you do that, because somebody listening who may be going through the same struggles, when they hear you, can be inspired. And I love that's the most important thing for me on this show,
Yeah.
is that somebody watching can be touched, encouraged, comforted, strengthened, maybe they're depressed, maybe they're going through some rough times right now.
Yeah.
And something we say today, especially you, Jonny, can change somebody's life. So I'm going to ask you, Jonny, if you feel comfortable with sharing, whatever you feel comfortable sharing, please do,
Yeah.
as far as those struggles that you were talking about.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of it is the way that we've sort of castigated struggle. You know, I mean, to be alive is to struggle. I think that we've lost sight of that. And so, you know, let's say someone's grieving and they lose someone important in their life, and it's like you're depressed. And it's like, well, you're not depressed. You lost someone important to you. You're
Mm,
just feeling feelings. So
mm,
I think that our society has crafted things in a way where to feel anything that's negative or to be down or to be depressed or to be anxious or whatever it might be, we try and say that that's a bad thing or that it's dysfunctional or that it's pathological or wrong. And first of all, like whatever you're feeling is valid. And right now, the world is upside down. It's crazy. So, like, there's no one I know right now in this world who's not struggling. And so, I guess the one thing that I would say to that is that you're not alone. I think we've never been in a world that's been more connected, digitally speaking, but we've never been more disconnected from one another as human beings. And
wow.
that disconnect makes it seem as though we're dealing with something on our own, but we're not. Our neighbors, our community, our friends, our family, the strangers we meet in everyday life, they're all dealing with their own struggles. And those struggles should bring us together, not bring us apart, because there's
Yeah.
enough division and divisiveness right now. So my hope is in
Yes.
these conversations that it fosters a dialogue and that people feel less alone and they speak up and speak out. And then we have rooms full of people being honest and speaking their truth. And we find some heartfelt connection in that truth. And we can also support each other through that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Jonny, those experiences, how did those experiences shape the person and artist that you've become?
I think it makes you empathetic. You know, I think the more that you go through in life, the more you're able to relate to other people. And the more that you see that everybody's going through something, you know. And so I think that's the biggest thing is it made me realize how connected we are. And it really grew my heart because I know what it's like to be without food. I know what it's like to be homeless. I know what it's
Yeah.
like to deal with addiction. You
Wow.
know, I know what it's like to go through all of those things. And I know that it's a very intense personal struggle in all of those ways. So I think it just made me very open to people, and it also really made me want to help because there's so many out there who are struggling, and the system that we live in doesn't really honestly support those people who need help the most. And I always wanted to be a counterpoint to that. So everything that I do is around this idea of, you know, we can be successful and we can make money and we could do good for ourselves in the world while still doing good for others. And it's not this or that. It can be both of those things simultaneously.
Well said. Well said. Was there one person who believed in you before you even believed in yourself?
I think I've had several people believe in me. In fact, there's probably been countless people who have believed in me. And some of the listeners right now, or people who watch this later, may be able to relate to this. It's really hard when you're struggling to see good in yourself to accept that others see good in you. You know, so it's kind of a chicken and egg conundrum. It's like if I was in a bad place right now and you're like, "Oh, Jonny, you're wonderful and you're doing good in the world and this and that." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, whatever." And I give you that answer, but in my head I'm like, "He doesn't know what he's talking about." You know, so I create a narrative where that's not true, but I've been fortunate enough to have a brilliant community and a brilliant, you know, secondary chosen family who's believed in me and supported me and lifted me up when I've been down. And I wouldn't be here without those people. And it's there are certain people who stand out, but there's just too many to even count and name. And I think that's why I operate with so much gratitude as well, because I've been given so much throughout my life, and I've been propped up and lifted up and supported and loved when I've been at my lowest. So I always want to be able to do that for another human being to pay that kindness forward.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. Your portraits, your portraits are phenomenal.
Thank you.
Your work, Jonny, is so good. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, bro.
I
I'm
really
telling
appreciate
you,
that. Yeah.
your work is like I've never seen a photographer work with lighting and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm observing it wrong. But I see well, every time I see your pictures, I'm like, that fucking lighting is so good. That lighting is so good. The contrast, the lighting. Am I wrong? Am I seeing things?
I hope more people feel that way. You know, I certainly feel good about my work, and I think it's obsession. You know, I was just talking with a friend of mine about that, and people ask me, they're like, "How do you get your work to look like this?" And I'm like, I don't necessarily think it's a choice. Like, I'm obsessed about light, I'm obsessed about shadow, I'm obsessed about color, I'm obsessed about style, I'm obsessed about texture. I'm obsessed about them as subjects unto themselves. But ultimately, as a photographer, if you were to step in front of my lens, my role is to be of service to you. Like my role is to lift you up. My role is to make you feel seen and heard and loved and appreciated. And I do it through all of this. So I obsess about all of these technical details because they allow me to tell your story. They allow me to make you feel seen. So the reason I obsess about this is so that I can love on you more from behind my camera, and it could be as significant of an experience as possible for you. So it all starts in the heart, and then it kind of emanates out into the technology.
Yeah. Wow. Well said. What's the biggest misconception people have about portrait photography?
The gear matters. I think that's the thing. You know, if you're ever in a hobbyist room or if you're other people, it's like, oh, what kind of camera do you have? What are your lights? Do you have this? Oh, when I was younger, I shot medium format. It was all these things. So I think it's tangible things. They're easy to talk about. It's like for you, for instance, with cuisine. I love cuisine. Like I'm second generation Sicilian on one side of my family.
Wow.
I grew up in the garden. I grew up in the kitchen.
Cool.
But
Yeah.
but it's like you could have the best cookware in the world and the best ingredients, but if you don't know how to use them, you
Yes.
have no vision, you have no taste, you have no skill. They're insignificant.
Right.
So I think that that's one of the biggest misconceptions is that gear makes the artist, when really vision will always supersede everything else. You could be cooking literally in the backyard and make a primitive fire and make the best meal someone's had. You can be in the most beautiful kitchen in the world and make something that has no flavor or terrible flavor.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Talk to me about that. A little more about vision and how important it is for us to have, us meaning everybody,
Yeah.
to have a vision.
Well, I think vision and voice are one to one. You know, it's like, and we all have something unique to say. I truly believe that. So I think your voice becomes vision when you have confidence in yourself. So when you start saying like what I have to say has merit, when you start believing in yourself, when you start seeing the value in who you are and what you create as a man, a woman, a human, an individual, whatever that might be, I think then that voice transcends into vision. And then that vision is something that you can share with the world. And when we have vision, we create space for other people to have vision. And I feel like we're mirrors to one another in that way. You know, we all have that friend who brings out the best in us. Like whenever they're around, we're smiling and we're laughing and we're present, we're enjoying life. And so like their energy gives us permission to step into that space of energy. And I think the vision is very similar to that.
Amazing. Is there one portrait that you have taken that you will never forget? And what made it so meaningful?
I think it was probably shortly after I got that camera, that first camera. This was years ago on the streets of Denver. I have a lot of struggle in my family. So there's a lot of addiction. There's a lot of crime. There's a lot of jail time, prison time, you know, just like we're a family, a genetic lineage that struggled a lot, made a lot of bad decisions, you know? And so my heart goes out to people who are struggling in that way. And so I've always felt connected to those communities, the unhoused communities and the addicted communities. And so I was outside of this bar that I really liked here in Denver called Retro Room, which is kind of like this mid-century thing. They got a salon next door and all of that. But there was a gentleman outside who I always saw in that part of town. And I walked outside and I asked him if he wanted to smoke a cigarette. And we just talked about life and how he got to Denver and what he's doing and what's going on in his world. And I was like, sir, you know, would you do me the honor of allowing me to create your portrait? And I took this photo of him on the side of the building in the glass. And I can still like feel that day. I can feel the weather. I can smell the smells. And I looked at that photo and I was like, this is something I want to do more of. And it started a series for me that I called Forgotten Faces. And it was photographing the people that we step over, the people who are on the streets, the people who are struggling, and trying to bring some vision and voice to them so that people had an opportunity to say like, hey, that's not just a homeless person. That's a mother, a father, a son, a daughter. That's a veteran. That's their story. This is how they got there. So humanizing the people that we in society so often dehumanize. And it changed the way that I saw myself. It changed the way that I saw the camera. It changed the way that I saw the world in essence. And it made me feel like I could actually make a difference, which is something I always wanted to do. So I will never forget that moment or that gentleman. And in my mind, I hope that he found his way to some peace and to some security and to some goodness.
Oh my goodness. Amazing. Amazing. GR Houston Jack says those darn people who immediately go for the gear.
Always.
Oh my goodness. Of course, a cast iron skillet is a darn good piece of cookware. Yes. It's a good weapon too.
I was just going to say that. Absolutely.
Yes. Vision supersedes equipment. That's powerful.
Absolutely.
That really is powerful. It's Salt and Silence says it's like thinking you need fancy workout clothes to get in shape. Oh, wow. Look at Mrs. Poet laying it down. Wow. Of Salt and Silence poetry, I thought if you looked good, you feel good. Interesting. DiCaprio, hello, good to see you. She says, interesting. True, Dr. Tashi, says Salt and Silence. I have the CK. I have to check him out. Yeah, you do. You do. It's worth it. You will be blessed, encouraged, strengthened when he'll say something at the right time that you need to hear, and it just strengthens you. It makes you feel good. You're inspired. You're motivated. You definitely do, G. But that shouldn't stop someone from starting. Start and then get the fancies. I hear you. Yeah, yeah. Hi, hello, D. So you mentioned about confidence. There is a lot of insecurity in this world.
Yeah.
I remember the time, this was years ago, when I was dealing heavily with insecurities and my confidence and vision. How do you deal with confidence, and what do you say to somebody watching who struggles with confidence and struggles with, I guess it comes from worrying about what people think? What do you
Yeah.
say, Johnny?
I say, I mean, first of all, comparison is the thief of joy. It's the thief of creativity. It steals so much from us. So we live in a comparative world. You know, at any point in time, you can pick up your phone, and whether you're a chef or a bodybuilder or a photographer, you can look at a slew of people who in your mind are doing better than you because you're seeing a curated slice of their life. So I think in that way, so much of the insecurity stems from the fact that we have our anxiety machine in our hands for far too many hours a day, and we're living outside of the realm of reality and inside of the realm of this box that's meant to make us feel bad about ourselves. Because when we feel bad, we're good consumers. Because when we feel bad, we buy things and we try and fill that void inside of us with stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's the first aspect of it. And I think just realizing that it's human. You know, we all want to be accepted. We all want to be validated. We all want to feel like we belong. But this is kind of a crass story, but I'll tell it real quick. Like a while ago, I was super obsessed with metrics on Instagram. Like I think so many people are, you know, so I knew within the first 5 minutes, if I posted a photo, I could look at the number of likes and the number of comments, and I would delete my shit if it didn't hit a certain quota, which was terrible because I could have photos that I loved, and I would put them out there and I'd be like, oh, well, the world doesn't love them, so maybe they're not that good, because I didn't have any certainty inside of myself. And one of my friends finally told me, he was like, listen, Johnny, he's like, you post in the morning for good engagement, right? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. He's like, most of the people looking at your photos, deciding whether to comment or not, to like or not, are sitting on the toilet taking a shit. And you're going to let these people sitting on the toilet determine your value as an artist and as a creative and as a human being while they're just doom scrolling, while they're taking a deuce. Like, that's wild. And it's so crass and obscene, but it's so true. But it's hard because the system is rigged against us. The system is rigged to manipulate our minds, to manipulate our hearts, and to make us really feel unstable and insecure. So I think it's just realizing that we're part of that. It's realizing that it's in us. And it's also realizing that, honestly, like, life is short and life goes on. For any of you out there who have dealt with a loss, a person that you loved, it feels like when we lose someone we love that's important to us, the world should stop. It's like it should stop and everyone should take a pause and take a breath in honor of the life that's no longer here, but it doesn't. It just keeps going, and that's life. So it's like, whether you do good or do bad, whether you dance naked or you just stay conservative, no matter what you do, like, you're going to die and the world's going to go on. So we get this one chance at this life. Like, let's live with passion and let's be our truest selves and let's have joy and let's have fun and let's just be authentic, whatever that means, and stop living for other people that wouldn't even stop to help us if we were in an accident, you know?
My gosh. Oh my Lord, that's so good. Wow. So Johnny, we have several things in common, and that is that I know what it's also like to be homeless. Many years ago, I faced that in Manhattan, living there. And I remember sleeping on the roof of some of these buildings, and I would wake up to rain, to a puddle of rain all over. And I used to have to go to Dunkin' Donuts when they threw away their garbage. And I don't know if there was a toilet paper in there. I don't know what was in that garbage, but I do know that there were donuts, and I do know that I was hungry and I needed to eat. Oh, wow. Those were hard times, man. So to hear you being transparent as well is a blessing to me, that you speak about that. And I remember going through that, and that was wow, what that can do to a person is it's crazy how you and I, because my childhood was not great either. If I tell you I can't even tell you. It's too graphic.
I get that.
So, but the fact is, Johnny, that you and I are still here, man.
Yeah, we are.
No matter what we went through, we're still here.
Yeah.
And look at us now, man.
Yeah.
Look at you, man. Think about it years ago when you got that first camera. Think about all the shit you went through when you were a kid, when you were a teenager. Look at you now, man. That's so fucking awesome. That's
It
so
means a lot.
awesome. For people that may be going through something right now, Johnny, something similar maybe. Maybe they're facing depression. What do you have to tell them right now?
Honestly, more than anything else is that it sounds so cliche, but that there's hope. And I was reading about someone who was doing a photography project out in Italy, in Sicily, and they were photographing these Italian gentlemen on the beach who are in their 70s and 80s, and it's like La Dolce Vita, right? Like they drink good wine and they get the sun and they invite people over, and it's just they're living life. And a couple of them have this tattoo that roughly translates to everything passes. And so they've lost loved ones and they've gone through the hardest times, but they're still there in the moment because they're aware that everything passes, the good passes and the bad passes. So whatever you're going through right now, it's going to change. Like times will change and they'll get better because they have to, because that's physics and metaphysics.
Right.
But just like the bad's going to go, the good's going to go too. And so, one of the quotes that I love, and I think it's really meaningful to me, is by Anthony Hopkins, and it's, "I expect nothing and I accept everything." So I would say, do your best to keep your chin up. Do your best to realize that you're fucking royalty and you're falling on hard times, but like those clouds will pass and better days will fucking come. And when they come, don't take them for granted, because just as soon as the sun comes, those clouds roll back in again. So just be present and take what you can from every moment. And every moment that we're above ground, even in hard struggles, is still a gift because we're still here. And if you're still here and you're going through something, you're a fucking warrior, for sticking through it, and you're courageous and you got this and you're not alone. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Wow. G.R. Houston Jack says, "Speak, the world will keep turning." DiCaprio says, "Wow." G.R. Houston Jack says, "People only see in the moment results." Yeah. They rarely see or ask about all the struggles before that.
True.
Yes.
True.
Yes. That's why when you see somebody, especially on television, you're like, "Ooh, I want to do that. And I want to be like that."
Yep.
And all you see, you know what? It happened to me many years ago when Iron Chef, do you remember Iron Chef?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Okay. Iron Chef Japan was it changed the culinary world completely. That one show changed everything. When I watched that show, I was like, it blew my mind and inspired me to go to culinary school.
I love that.
And so, I was watching that show, and then you see all these celebrity chefs and you're like, "Oh, I want to be like that. I want to be like that." Well, and then I got my job at a fine dining restaurant, my first one. And you start realizing, oh man, this is not too glamorous, man.
Yep.
Wow, washing the dishes. Then the order comes in and you got to put the order away. You're standing up for 12 hours a day while everybody else is partying. You're the one serving the party.
Yep.
You're working weekends. Oh my goodness. It's, and even for whatever, an actor, a singer, a celebrity, these people work hard.
Yeah.
These people
Absolutely.
to one scene, these people are working 18 hours, 14 hours. Oh, I want to be a doctor. Okay, but the hours. So count the cost, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So G.R. Houston Jack, Iron Chef was the best. Yes. Yeah. G.R. Houston Jack says the culinary world is brutal.
It is.
Yeah. Her father was a chef, Johnny?
I did not know that. No.
Yeah. Her father was a chef. Iron Chef didn't have 25 tickets in front of them. Oh, that is so true. Johnny, you were in the food business for a little bit. Tell me about that.
I was. So like I tended bar a lot. I grew up around bars. Like my dad was in the Hells Angels and that was kind of a thing. So like he had a bar in the basement. So like I grew up around these like larger than life tattooed guys getting blasted and fighting and doing that whole thing. So I think even like I was the kid who would go to the 25-cent machine, get the tattoos and like put them on, walk out in an A shirt and be like, "Hey, what's up? What's up?" But I think like I just made my way in. My first job, my actual first proper job that wasn't a family gig, was like at a Greek restaurant serving. And so I was like front of house, back of house there. And I kind of stayed in F&B and did different things. I've washed dishes. I've served food. I've cooked food on the line. I tended bar for a really long time, everywhere from like dive bars. When I was in college, I tended bar at the Ritz-Carlton, 5-star, 5 diamond, the whole thing. So yeah, been there in the back and front.
I can see you working at a bar. For some reason, you have that aesthetic and that vibe and that, oh man, you just like Manhattan. When I go to a nice bar in Manhattan, when they know what they're doing, it just when I'm looking at you right now, I'm like, that's exactly the
Oh,
feeling and the
you
vibe.
get like a good drink and ambiance and a listening ear and therapist at the same time with a great
Exactly.
bartender. It's perfect.
Exactly. Exactly. Johnny, you use the name Johnny Creative. What does
Yeah.
creativity actually mean to you?
You know, I think creativity is just expression of self. You know, like there's a great quote by Helena Bonham Carter, the actress, who's just a legend. But it's something like, I'll butcher it and I'll paraphrase it, but she's like, you know, I believe everything is art. The way that we eat, the way that we speak, the way that we dress, the way that we live, the way that we love, the way that we lose.
Mm.
You know, so I think like life itself is art and art itself is life. And similarly, I think creativity is just expression of self. I think accountants can be creative. I think someone spinning a sign on the side of the road can be creative. Obviously, culinary professionals and photographers can be creative. I think creativity, in essence, distilled down to its baser elements, is just us expressing ourselves as human beings in a way that we are excited about or in a way that we are passionate about. And that's the thing. Kids, especially, are the greatest creative conduits because they're just living for joy. And so they're constantly in a state of creativity until we tell them to stop daydreaming, until we tell them to color in between the lines,
Mm.
until we tell them to basically become a machine of a system that just wants to make workers. And then we impinge on that creativity. And then as adults, we have to get it back. We have to reconnect with it. But I think creativity is the default state for human beings. And then it's something that it's sort of, we're robbed of it. And then we have to rediscover it as we kind of go along in our journey.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, wow. Your portraits feel incredibly personal. How do you earn someone's trust in just a short amount of time?
I think part of it is what we're doing right here. It's this conversation, like you and me already connecting on like both having dealt with being homeless, both being hungry. Like already we trust each other more because we know we've both been through shit and we're still here. So like there's a brotherhood, there's a connection in that. So I think part of it is just being interested in people. Like when I ask someone how they're doing, it's because I genuinely want to know how they're doing.
Yes,
You know, like
yes.
so when someone sits down in front of my camera and I'm adjusting lights, we're just having a conversation and I'm like, you can be however you are. If you need to cry, cry. If you need to scream, scream. If you want to laugh, laugh. Like
I love
this is
that.
a place where you can just be human. And I don't think a lot of people encounter that. And so I'm sure you've encountered this when you ask someone, you know, even a stranger, and you're like, how are you? And you look them in the eyes and they can tell you mean it. And they're like, actually, you know what, man, I'm having a hard fucking day. Like, this is what's going on right now. My kid's sick and blah, blah, blah. And you listen. And then they're like, oh my gosh, like this person cares. I can trust them. And then you can see that trust in the photos. You can see more of the essence of the person because they take the mask off and the shoulders come down and their guard comes down. The armor that we put on every day to exist in this world that can be so hard.
Yeah.
It comes off. And then you're like, wow, there's a beautiful human being just being as they are. And it's rare that we encounter that in our day-to-day lives.
Yeah. Yeah. Johnny, why do we do that? Why do we wear masks?
I think it's a really interesting thing. I heard a quote once and it's basically like, and it's talking about artists specifically, but I think this applies to all people. And it's basically like artists toe the line between wanting to be seen and hiding away from the world. And I think it's the same thing. I think desperately at our core, we all want and need to be seen for who we really are. But I think there is so much fear about that because if I'm wearing a mask and you reject me, I can tell myself you rejected my mask, right? I'm like, well, yes, he rejected this version of me. It wasn't even the real me. But if I show up exactly how I am, my attitude, my persona, my authenticity, my vulnerability, my style, everything else, and you reject me, like that knife goes deeper and it twists between my ribs. So I think the thing that we most want is the thing that we're most afraid of not having. And so we keep ourselves. It's like the person who doesn't want to get their heart broken can never love. Because in order to love, you have to take the risk of having your heart broken. And similarly, I think people play it safe and then they get to the end of their life and they're on their deathbed and they're like, holy shit, I spent 80 years playing it safe. I never took a risk. And so I never really lived. And to me, that was always the most nightmarish scenario, was to get to the end of life and to say, I never really lived. And so I've always tried to work against that.
Yeah. It's not so much the years in your life as much as the life in your years, right?
It's true. It's true. And that's why you meet old souls. You meet 12-year-olds who have been there, done that. And you're like, wow, you literally have the wisdom of a 60-year-old. And then you meet 60-year-olds and you're like, holy shit, you're as immature as a 6-year-old.
Wow.
You know, like it goes both ways.
Yeah. Johnny, you mentioned vision again. And so you started you have a business, right? This is a business. Great.
Yeah,
exactly. Yep. So there's so many people out there that have, how can I say this? they're pregnant with a vision, if that, they're
Yeah, yeah,
pregnant with a vision,
yeah,
there's something inside of everyone that somebody has a dream. Maybe there's a
yeah,
book in somebody.
yeah,
How do you get from it's here in my mind, I have the vision, and then actually go ahead? Because some people, they don't actually fulfill their vision.
yeah.
They
I,
have a
I, think-
dream, they have
yeah,
an aspiration, but they it's safe in your brain, right? Because
yeah,
you're not failing in your brain because the
yeah,
thought is perfect in your brain.
yeah,
But then when you go to execute,
yeah,
it's
of
a
course.
whole different story. How do you go from having a vision or having a dream, an aspiration, and making that step of, you know what, it's time for me to step out and actually start doing?
I think it's a perspective shift because I think most people have that. We all have that dream within us. We all have that talent. We all have that voice within us. And most people will never do it. Most people they'll never fail or fuck up because they'll never try. And so I think it's just getting to the point where you have to decide what's most important in your life. Like, is the illusion of safety and security most important to you?
Mm,
Or is maybe fucking up and going bankrupt and having to start over is what price are you willing to pay for your dreams? I think that's what it really comes down to. Because I have a
yeah,
lot of students who will come to me and they'll go, Jonny, like, can I get here? I want to shoot for the cover of Vogue. Can I get there? And I'm like, yes, absolutely. If you commit to it, you will get there definitively. What are you willing to sacrifice for it? What are
right,
you willing to give up? When everyone else is out partying, when you only have a cent left, like when all of these things happen, will you still continue to move toward your dreams? And if so, you'll get there. So I think it has to do with obsession and with going back to it. It's fear. It's
mm,
misplaced fear and going, well, what if I fail? Well, fuck it. Like, you're going to fail. Like,
right,
we need to stop this conversation about what if I fail, because you're going to fail. Like,
yeah,
we're all going to fail. We all fail every fucking day. I fail as a friend. I fail as a partner. I fail as a human being. I fail as a mentor. I fail as an artist. I
mm,
fail as an
right,
entrepreneur. Once
yes,
you embrace failure, the
yes,
fear goes away.
yeah.
It's
Oh,
crazy.
I love that. I love that. Salt and silence. This is great. Yes, we are scared people won't love us if they really knew.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
deep. You know,
Yeah,
at the end of the day, we all got junk in our trunk. We
absolutely.
all are dealing with issues. We all
Absolutely.
got skeletons. We all got bug outs. We
Yep.
all got our crap. All of us. I don't care. Let me tell you something. I don't care if you're preaching on a pulpit. I don't care who you are. We all are struggling. We're all humans.
Absolutely.
Just because you're preaching on a pulpit don't make you superhuman. That don't
Yeah.
make you exempt from struggle.
Yep.
And so everybody has junk in their trunk. So I think for me, many years ago, this was an issue because I was like, what if they knew that I was homeless? Or what
Yeah.
if they knew some of the mistakes I made in my life? We all make mistakes.
Yep.
So sometimes when you look at somebody and be like, the person you're intimidated around, realize they're jacked up too. They got to
Yep.
wipe their ass. They got to take a shit just like you do.
Yep. It's true. And
So
I mean, there's like Rumi has a quote, and it's the cracks are where the light shines in.
mm,
So once you
oh,
stop trying to hide your brokenness and you embrace it, you can
I
find
love
peace
that.
and love and joy. And then you
Oh,
radiate light and other people are attracted to you. So I think it's just that. That's the whole thing, is we're so disconnected from the reality of the world. We get so locked in our own head and our own beliefs. And the beautiful thing is, when you speak your truth in a room full of people, sure, some people might be like, oh, he overshared, or they might judge you, but there's going to be more people who are like, thank you so much. They're going to
yeah,
be like, thank you for saying that, because now I can speak. You were the first person to break the ice. Now I can speak my truth. And
yeah.
so it becomes not only is it not a negative, but it's a feedback loop where, like, in the process of being honest, you literally create space and give other people permission to be honest too. And that's a gift. So every time you're honest and you take that mask off, you're giving a gift to the world. And I think it's really important to remember that.
Wow. Wow. That's powerful. Whew. When you said that in brokenness is where the light shines and comes out from the cracks,
Yeah.
I was thinking, and again, guys, I don't mean to, if you're not religious, if you're an atheist, everybody's welcomed here.
Yeah.
Everybody. I always say, eat the meat and throw out the bones. So if you don't believe in God or Jesus or all that kind of stuff, it's all good here. So, but I'm going to bring up something because I read it
Yeah.
this morning. I came across a passage where this lady took an alabaster box in the scripture and she broke it. And it was when she broke it that the oil came out.
Mm.
And when I'm hearing what you're saying about that what happens with the brokenness. I was just thinking about that. I was like, wow, there's a lot of broken people, but think about it's that brokenness that made us who. Isn't that weird? Like, where would we be without, would we go back and change things? How powerful is our pain? How do we take our pain and the shit that we've gone through and make good out of it, Johnny?
I think the big part of it is for a long time, I'm still in therapy, and I think everyone should do therapy. I think living in the modern world, we all need therapy. My one therapist talked to me about this concept called radical acceptance. And so it is, we need to accept all parts of ourselves, not just the good, not just the pretty, but the broken, the ugly, the fucked up, the worst decisions you've ever made, the secrets you will go to your grave with, you will never tell anybody. You have to accept those parts of yourself. And in that radical acceptance, when you do that, you liberate yourself from so much of the fear, from so much of the shame and so much of the guilt. And that's the thing, is that guilt and shame are allies to fear. Those three things, guilt, shame, and fear, control so much of our existence. They control our relationships and our trajectory and our art and our expression and our concept of self. So once you accept a thing, it loses its power, right? Like once there's a beautiful saying that goes something like, when stories are told in safe spaces, shame dies. And so like once you can accept a thing and you give it a seat at the table and you're like, you're the worst thing I've ever done, and you deserve to sit at this table and eat with me because you're part of me, and you embrace yourself wholly like that, I think that changes everything. That fundamentally changes who you are and the way that you interact and live in this world.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Johnny, let me ask you, and I hate asking this
No,
because
please.
it makes for an awkward moment, but do you have a few more minutes?
Yeah, no, we can.
Okay.
I got no time limit for things like this. I'd rather the
Okay,
conversation
all right, because
run.
we're rocking, man. We're rocking right
Yeah,
now.
no, I'm
So,
down.
Johnny, what about your style? I love your stilo, man. Your fashion. I love just the way you carry yourself, man. I'm a huge fan. Where do
Thank
you get
you.
all that from?
I think part of it's probably developed and part of it's probably ingrained. Like I remember literally my mom was in male dominated fields when I was a little boy. And so she was like the only woman in her field. And she was this like executive marketing saleswoman, like when we actually had money, that's what she was doing in between things. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because she'd be like, Jonathan, like, do I wear this suit or that suit? So even as a boy, like I was athletic, but I'd be like, no, the purple, don't wear the gold with that, wear the silver. So I always kind of had like an acumen for style, but I think like there's a difference between fashion and style. I think fashion is a trend and style is an expression of self.
Wow.
So the
Wait,
older
Johnny, could you
yeah,
say that one more
yeah.
time?
Fashion is a trend and style is an expression of self.
Wow.
Like I fully believe that. And so like when I was younger, I wanted to fit in. So I was fashionable, right? Like whatever was the right thing, whatever was the right shirt, the right shoes, like relative to my social clique, like that's what I was going to wear. So I would fit in. But as I gained years, as I gained decades, I was like, fuck it. I don't want to fit into those groups. I'm like, I hope I wear something that excludes me from those groups because I don't care for those people or their attitudes or their perspectives on life. And so it's literally like just cultivating the fuck it mindset, going like it's my life. And if I go out and if someone's like, why are you wearing a tie? Why are you wearing a suit today? I'm like, because I'm living. And they're like, yeah, but you're going grocery shopping. And I'm like, because I want it to feel good, because this makes me feel good. That's why.
Right.
That whole idea that, yeah, exactly. Why are you asking me a fucking question? Like, why I'm accountable to no one but myself. And I think the cool thing is like, that's happened so many times in my life where I've been around people and suddenly like, we'll meet up for a second coffee, or I'll be in a social circle and like a gentleman will be wearing a hat. Or like a woman I know will all of a sudden be like messing with a suit or some like bold jewelry. And they're just like, I decided to say, fuck it. So at some point, and it's like, I have friends who literally will wear Crocs and sweatsuits and that's their style. And I love them for it because they're being who they are. So it's not about good or bad, right or wrong. It's just about going like, this is how I'm going to step out into the world as my truest self. And if anyone has anything to say about it, fuck them, because this is my life, not theirs.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Johnny, you mentioned your parent. I'm not sure who passed away. Are your parents still around?
No, they're not. They're not.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've gone through, I think that's the other thing that changes you, like going through a lot of loss, it makes you reflect on things.
Yes.
Even with parents, I think at some point in our lives, we realize that like our parents were broken people too. Like in some cases, I think they tried to do the best that they could, but I don't look at them anymore and go like, oh, mom and dad failed me. I'm like, wow, they were really fucked up people and they were dealing with their own demons. And do I wish my childhood was different? Yes, but I give them credit for trying. And it doesn't excuse the things that happen. But I think like you deal with loss and it causes you to reflect on things. I was just listening to a song and it was talking about that. And it was like the greatest teacher is death, because it makes us reflect on what's really important in this life.
Wow.
And it's really brilliant. And so I think that too. And I think that's a hard thing. Like, unfortunately, if you don't deal with hardship in life, I feel like you're kind of like, you're almost like an egg or a flower that hasn't bloomed, right? Like, there's all this potential, but hardship is what nourishes those roots and what allows us to bloom. And so it's a paradox of existence.
Why
But I
is
think
that? What is it about? What is it
I
about
wish
hardship?
I knew, like, you know,
Yeah.
whether it's God or the universe or powers that be, whatever you believe
Yeah.
in, like,
Yeah.
I wish that it was different. I wish that we could just connect and be joyful and loving toward one another. But there's something to be said about, like, we bloom in the dark. You know, that's what I believe as human beings. And so if
Oh,
you don't
that's
go through
good.
any darkness, you're just a shell of your possible self.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, that's good stuff. I saw G. I love this. She says, if I may say so, all of my skeletons are well organized.
She's over there
Oh,
playing
G.
calypso music on the rib cages of her skeletons.
You're too much, G. Okay. So G, I'm sure it's fabulous. Extremely fabulous. Well said, says Dr. Tashi. We're all perfectly imperfect. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so as far as perfection is concerned, now for me, I am one of those people that I do believe that there's a God. I
Yeah.
find faith fascinating, Johnny,
Yeah.
because I don't have any evidence. I never sat with God. None of that kind of stuff. But for some reason, I believe, and isn't that, I find faith just so weirdly fascinating. But anyway, yeah, my point, and oh my Lord, I almost forgot. Okay, so yeah, my point was, she's saying we're all perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, just is that the only perfect one is God.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. So that means that I'm not God. So that how can I be perfect?
Absolutely.
That's what, no, don't expect perfection from people, because
Yep.
nobody's God. Now, I never strive for perfection. I strive for excellence.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I
Big
don't
difference.
believe perfection. For those perfectionists, you will never reach perfection.
Nope.
So I can't make the perfect dish, but
Yep.
God can. I can't. He's perfect, so he can make the perfect dish. I can make an excellent dish.
Yeah.
So what do you say to perfectionists, to those that are perfectionists?
I think it's
balance.
At some point, I feel like perfectionism is a boulder that we're choosing to carry uphill and then wondering why it's so fucking hard every step.
Oh,
You know? So I think to perfectionists, I would say, if it's possible, if you can, if you have the support to help you with that, put it down and see what it feels like to not have that weight in your arms and on your shoulders for a little bit, because it is an awful way to live. It is an awful way to live under the yoke of perfectionism. And a lot of us develop perfectionism because of things like childhood trauma. We were in houses where whenever we did anything wrong, whenever we spoke out of turn, whenever we didn't do our chores, there were consequences. And so we learned that perfectionism was equated with safety and structure and stability. So we have to unlearn that as we go along. Wow. So I would say exactly what you're saying. I don't think perfectionism is possible. Even when someone, you know, like I was in Mexico and I did a couple of tours last year, which was beautiful. I love being in Mexico, the culture, the cuisine, the people, one of my favorite places on earth, north to south in Mexico. But like a lot of the Mexican photographers, they would refer to me as maestro, you know, master. And it's a flattering thing, but I wouldn't say this because I knew they meant it with their heart. But to me, I'm like, please, I don't ever want to be called master, because I don't believe there is a master. I don't believe that we can ever master a thing. I believe there's a road to mastery, but we never reach it. It's an imagined destination. And very similarly, perfectionism doesn't exist. And that's another thing, like comparison, it robs us of so much joy, of so much beauty, of so much magic. That's a filter through which everything is reduced down to less than. And it's painful. It's a painful way to exist with that in your mind and with that as your goal.
Johnny, how do you deal with that in your portraits? Perfection. How do you deal with perfectionism when you're making portraits?
You know what? I think I try and operate on intuition rather than analysis. And so I think, like, if I'm being intuitive, I can say, like, this is good. And my analytical mind would be like, well, right now, I'm like, I could change the lighting ratio. I could add a little bit here. I could add a little bit here. I could turn my face this way or this way. There's things that can change. But I go for that intuitive moment when something just feels right. So I allow myself to operate more intuitively and emotionally than analytically and logically. And so I think perfectionism is an expression of the analytical mind. It's an expression of the intellectual mind and the logical mind. So I think if we could put that by the wayside and feel our way through things a little bit more, that puts that perfectionism on the wayside. And still, I look at all of my work as a learning opportunity. I'm sure you do this with when you cook too. Like you can be like, wow, that was a beautiful meal. But if I would have had a little more saffron, right? If there would have been a little bit more of this, like it may have just taken it up a little bit. And that's not knocking what I've done. So I think there's a fine line where we could literally like celebrate ourselves for our achievements, but always do our part to be a little bit better tomorrow than we were today. And that's growth.
Wow. Jonny, how important is lighting in photography?
Oh, I think other than connection, like, you know, we have to be connected to ourselves and the people in front of our camera. But as far as technical considerations go, that side of the equation, it's how we communicate. You know, like if you were looking at a writer back in the day before digitization, like they wrote through pen and paper, quill and paper, you know, ink and paper on a typewriter. And that's what light and shadow are. They are the means through which we communicate. We craft story, we craft shape, we craft emotion. You know, we build distance, we build density, we build dimension. So I think like as photographers, whenever I hear a photographer, especially who's photographing people, any photographer, but especially for people, when they're like, I'm scared of lighting or I don't feel good about lighting, I'm like, face that fear. The only way is through. Like you're never going to be able to say something significant in photography unless you fall in love with light and shadow. You know, like you have to do that. And then it becomes your friend. And then instead of being afraid of it, like so many things, you're like, wow, not only am I'm not afraid of this thing, but I'm excited about it because like this allows me to shape worlds, to shape minds, to shape faces, to shape stories. Like it's the most powerful thing at our disposal.
Yeah. So Jonny, when somebody comes to you to do photography, how do they come up with the ideas or how do you work through that?
I think it's a little bit of both. You know, sometimes I have people who come to me with a clear-cut vision. They're like, hey, Jonny, here's inspiration photos. I have a mood board. You know, I want to feel like I'm on the cover of Vogue or Vanity Fair. This is what's going on in my life right now. Other times it's sort of just like, I want to be seen. Like I have a lot of people who come to me when they're in transitions in their life. So maybe they're switching careers. Maybe they just got divorced. You know, maybe something big is happening. They're stepping into themselves and they're like, I don't really know what I want this to look like, but I know I love your art and the experience you create for people. And I'm like, all right, let's feel that out together. You know, and so like for my clients, I always book out full days. I think that makes me really different than a lot of other photographers. I don't do hour-long sessions. I don't believe in that personally. For my approach, like if you hired me, I'd be like, dude, if we're gonna meet in the city, like let's meet in Manhattan. Let's go to your favorite breakfast spot, and let's share bread, and let's share a good cup of coffee, and then we'll go to the studio, and then we're gonna work it out, and we just let the day unfold. And so we have some ideas. Because I think it's disarming. You know, like for most people, if you walked into my studio and I had this lighting setup and I just sat you down and I was like, no, be yourself. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I'm so nervous. I don't know you. You don't know me. I might not even know myself in these moments. What do you mean, be me? So I think a big part of it is just like getting a person into a position where they feel comfortable, but they also feel loved. You know, it's like when your friend takes you out for your favorite meal. They're like, hey, man, I know you were down. I know you love that chicken spot in Midtown. We're going. You know, and you're like, oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you for seeing me and loving on me like that. Like, I think I literally love the people I photograph. I love humanity. I love human beings. And I want, shit, I'm gonna have to change my battery. I'm talking about love and I went dark, just like that.
It's all good. It's all
God
good.
was like, bro, you're done. No, but I think it's that, like, I want people to know that I love them. I want people to know that they're seen. I want them to know that like what's meaningful to them is meaningful to me as well. Like it's a tangible way of doing that.
Yeah.
If you give me 1 second, I can swap this battery.
Sure, please. Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Yeah. All right. Guys, let me know in the comments. Are you enjoying this conversation? Do you have any questions for Jonny? Let me know in the comments. Isn't he fascinating? Oh, the stuff he says, so encouraging, so comforting. It's so good that he has such a heart, for people. We need more people like that, man. So awesome. So awesome. So, let's talk about some of those skeletons. Oh, I'm just joking. All right, Dr. Tashi, this is a great convo. Yeah, man. I love this. All right, he's back. All right, hold on. Let me
wait. I was. Camera, don't do this to me. Don't mess with me, camera. Come on.
It's all good.
Let's see. Well, one of two things is happening. Either I put in a battery that is not charged, which is absolutely possible, or my camera is overheating because it's so damn hot here in Denver right now.
Oh, my goodness. So do you need to end or are you still good?
No. I think we're okay.
Okay.
Let's see. I think we're good.
Okay.
All right. Boom.
There you go. Boom. Bam. Like emerald.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Mother Nature has not been kind. It's kind of like the East Coast. It's so damn hot out here.
Yeah. So, hey, let's talk about Denver real quick.
Yeah.
How did you end up in Denver from Chicago?
It's a wild story. So I actually wound up in Denver via Phoenix. So I was down in Phoenix helping out a couple of my cousins. One of them had went through a pretty bad divorce. So I went down there to kind of be a support. And I do not like Phoenix. If any of you out there, you're Phoenix people, all the love to you. But for me, the architecture, the people, the heat, it just wasn't it. So I had a friend who was up here in Denver who was doing kind of like remodels and stuff when the real estate market was different. And he knew I was handy. So he's like, hey, if you come up this way, you can stay in the homes while we're working on them. And so I just packed the stuff I had, put it into the back of my truck and just drove up on a whim. I was like, I don't know where I want to be, but I knew I didn't need to be there. And I think that's kind of a metaphor for what we've been talking about too. Like sometimes you just have to change. You just have to risk it. I was like, am I going to find what I'm looking for there? Maybe not, but I'm certainly not going to find it in Phoenix. So like any direction is better than staying in the same place. That's how I felt at that point in time. And I'm grateful because I found really beautiful people and friends and found art and photography and everything else here. So like powers that be, I think I was really meant to be here and find my way to Denver.
That's what I was going to ask you is, I'm sorry. So in Denver, see the right words. So in Denver, how is it a good place for artists? Is Denver conducive for artists?
You know, I guess yes and no. I guess it depends on what type of art you're into and what stage of your art you're in. Okay. You know, I think like for newer artists, it can be really good. Like one downside to Denver, anyone who's been here can tell you like there's not as much diversity here as I would like. You know, like the downtown can be pretty whitewashed. Like you have to get out into the suburbs to get some diversity and like culture and background and that type of thing. But I think that it can be friendly if you're in with the right clique. You know, so I think like Denver's pretty cliquish. And then the other problem is like people here are really relaxed. The one thing that I love about New York and the East Coast is everyone's got this fucking hunger. Right? Everyone's trying to survive. Everyone's trying to build. So like when you meet people, they're like, how can we collaborate? There's this automatic bit, like everyone's trying to grow who are creatives for the most part. And here in Denver, it's kind of like the classic like cannabis thing where everyone's just kind of like, fuck it, man, you know?
That's
like,
why everybody's relaxed over there.
That's what I think. It's between the mushrooms and the weed. You're just kind of like, man, I smoked a blunt. Like if I'm on the cover of a magazine, that's cool. But if not, I love these clouds right now. So shit's good.
Yeah. Hey, Johnny, so check this out. I am doing right now. We're working on a documentary about cannabis.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about cannabis from every perspective.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of misconceptions about cannabis.
Agreed.
And I'm a fan of it. I love me a good joint. I love me a wine. I love me anything. I don't do anything that if I can't function, I'm not going to do it. That's just me. So I don't know if I can say that on here, but the white stuff, I can't do that. I can't do anything where I'm not laughing. If I can't laugh or play a video game or play my PS5, I'm not going to probably do it.
I get it.
Anyway, so the culture in because I've never been to Denver, but I want to go to. So you're from Denver specifically in Colorado?
Yeah. So like I'm just outside of Denver. So I lived downtown for a long time, and now my studio and place are like just outside. It's like a 10-minute drive from the middle of downtown Denver.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you this: if you feel comfortable answering, if you don't, no problem. We'll move on.
I'm always good. I
find that some sativas and when doing cannabis, do you find it? I don't know if you do at all. I have no clue. But do you get, if you do, does it help with your creativity?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like there's, obviously like we were talking about wine, for instance, you have like your Psalms and there's taste differences, but ultimately alcohol is alcohol. You know, like people, oh, like tequila makes me this. It's like, well, you probably just drink more tequila. That's why you get angry on tequila. It's the only thing you do 6 shots of, So like alcohol affects the body the same, like the same serving of tequila versus wine versus beer. Like it's doing the same thing to our nervous system and our brain. But like with cannabis, you have THC, of course, but then you have all of the terpenes, you have all of the cannabinoids. So like you can have one strain that makes you feel relaxed and another strain that makes you feel anxious, one strain that makes you feel like it's an aphrodisiac where you're like, oh, I'm a lover in this. And then another strain where you're like, I'm shut off from the world and I feel like I'm dead inside. So there's like, it's, you find a good strain and you kind of stick with it, So a lot of people
that's fascinating.
It's brilliant. Like the biochemical individuality.
Different strains and they all do something specific, right?
Yeah.
Just
And
like
so
you
then we
said.
all have the favorites. Like I have like a vape pen around here somewhere, and it's super lemon haze. And so for me, it's
Oh
one of the
man,
most.
see, I love Johnny more now.
It's
This
like
is so
it's one of my
good.
favorite strains because I know for me, like it's a social strain. It brings me
Yeah,
up a little. It makes me
yeah,
more creative. I have
yeah.
ADHD, so it allows me to like
Oh,
focus, but
yeah.
doesn't make me anxious. So like if I
Interesting.
had a creative friend who were like, "Hey, I'm dealing with some anxiety, but I can't really focus," I'd be like, "Give this a shot at low dose."
Yeah.
Like anything else,
Yes.
it's like, while a glass of wine might help you relax, you drink 2 bottles and then you feel like shit.
Yeah.
So, it's dose dependent, but it's for me, especially with the background in biochemistry, it's a really, really fascinating thing. And then everyone reacts to it differently
Right.
because some of us have more receptors in our stomach, some of us have more receptors in the parts of our
Right.
brain that affect joy or
Right.
pleasure. So not only are the plants different, but then our reaction to those plants are so different. So there's all of this variance that's really, really fascinating.
Okay. Have you ever been, have you ever, I don't want to say under the influence, I hate to use that word, but smoking, did you get so creative that you were like, wow, a portrait was influenced or something
Yeah.
that you, okay, go ahead. Please talk about
Absolutely.
that.
No, I think like we used to get together kind of like artist communes. Like if you think about the old school like Jackson Pollock crew and stuff, we'd get together and just smoke a shit ton of weed and take some edibles. And then you're just kind of like all of those barriers that we talked about get lifted, right? Because all of a sudden I'm not worried about judgment and I'm not worried about right or wrong. I'm just like,
Right.
I'm doing this because it's weird and cool.
Yeah.
So you just get into kind of that flow state. So I think that like, cannabis or psychedelics and things like that can
Yeah.
affect our ego and our perception and allow us to get out of our own way. Because
Yeah.
I think inherently most people are a lot more creative than they realize.
Yeah.
It's not that they don't have art inside of them. It's not that they don't have creativity inside of them. They don't know how to access it or they don't feel comfortable sharing it. So anything that can modulate our ego like that and make us more present in the moment, I think it connects us with our creativity because ultimately it's connecting us with ourselves.
Yeah. What's the biggest misconception you think people have about cannabis?
Oh, I think like the burnout archetype, it's like, oh, if you smoke weed, you're a loser and you live in a van down
Yeah.
by the river, like a Chris Farley skit, and this type of
Right.
thing. So it's like, I know a lot of people, actually the most successful people I know
Snoop
on
Dogg,
earth.
Mike Tyson.
Yeah. Cannabis.
Yeah.
It's part of their life. And I know a lot of friends who like got off of opioids because of cannabis and got off of anti-anxiety meds because of cannabis. So I think people see it kind of in the old dogmatic, like the cannabis propaganda videos back in the 60s and 50s,
Right.
where it's like, oh, John took a smoke of cannabis and now he's over in the gutter laying in the dirt.
Right.
So and that was an attempt of our government to demonize something healthy that we could grow ourselves to heal ourselves, but that's
Yeah.
another thing entirely.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's people just making assumptions like anything else. Like once again, I'll be completely honest talking about vulnerability. Like I have a drinking problem. I've always had a drinking problem my entire life. Most of my friends don't. Most of my friends can have a couple glasses of wine and they feel good. Like I have a couple glasses of wine and I feel good, and I'm like, maybe a couple glasses more will make me feel better. Like that's the thing. Like I've had good periods and bad periods, but everybody handles everything differently. So I think any assumption, you're like, well, people who wear hats or people who drive Oldsmobiles or people who live in the Bronx, whatever it is, like gross generalizations are a disservice to everybody. So I think like that stereotyping is probably the biggest bit, where if you smoke, it means you're just a burnout with no motivation. Like that's absolutely not the case.
Wow. Do you have a favorite strain?
I mean, once again, I like the super lemon haze a lot.
Oh, wow.
Northern Lights is great. It's something. So if I had to say like an up strain, I would probably say
Old
like the
school.
super lemon haze or Durban
wow.
Poison.
Oh,
And then Northern Lights, the OG stuff on the indica side, because I can smoke that and just be like, man, I'm shutting down for the day.
Yeah,
like
I
my
hear you.
voice, I go into the deep voice bit like this. I get my NPR voice, and I'm like, we're just gonna go ahead and take it easy tonight. That's fine. We're good.
We're just gonna take it easy tonight.
Exactly. Anybody listening out
Just
there,
gonna
have
be
yourself
chilling
some
out.
Northern Lights.
It's about 4:20.
Fantastic, DS and Johnny, and we're signing off. No, I'm just teasing, but it's fun. I think, and for me, like I overthink, like so many artists. I think too much. My brain never shuts off. And as an entrepreneur, you're always thinking about business and marketing and social media and revenue and where's the money coming from. And so like you're so obsessed with the future and what it's going to bring, and then you're so obsessed with the past and what you did wrong or did right that you're never in the present moment. Like, and that's the only thing that we have. So for me, stuff like cannabis can help me bring it here, where I can just be more present with the people that I love, with my process, with my art, and seeing with the clouds, the sunshine, the grass, whatever it may be. So like anything else, it's about how you use it. But I think it can be a powerful catalyst for a lot of people to heal and to just be more present in their lives.
Yeah. So real quick on this, and then I'll just move on.
Yeah, please.
So back in the 90s, I had at that point I had never done any cannabis at all.
Yeah.
And my brother bought a stereo at the time,
Yeah.
and he bought a cassette, and it was called The Wall from
Yeah.
Pink Floyd.
Of course. Iconic.
So he played that, and he would play it every day.
Yeah.
And I would be like, could you shut that crap off, please? I
know where
could
this
not
is going.
stand it. I
Yep.
think you know where this is going.
Yep.
I could not stand Pink Floyd, especially that what he was playing at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So he would play it every day, and every day the same crap. Yo, can you turn that off, bro? Turn that off. You're so loud. Can you put it low and all that? So anyway, one day he brought a joint. I
Yeah.
thought it was a cigarette.
Yeah.
He looks at me. I'm sitting in front of the stereo, and he sits right next to me and says, "Hey, you want this? You want some of
Yeah.
this?" I'm like, "Whoa!" I did the misconceptions, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, "Whoa!
Oh.
Is that gonna kill me? Is that
Yeah. Yeah.
is am I gonna pass out? Am I?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not doing that, bro. I don't want that. I don't want nothing to do with that." And he went to put on the Pink Floyd, The
Yeah.
Wall. So he started it, and I'm listening to it. I'm like, "Could we change this? Could you
Yeah, I'm
please
over
turn
it.
this off?" So he kept telling me, "Oh, smoke it, nothing's gonna happen if you know
Yeah.
if you want to." So I said, "All right." I gave in to the peer pressure,
Yeah.
and I did it right. And then I was starting to tell him, "Hey, turn this off." And then the music kept going. He didn't want to turn it off.
Yeah.
About 2 minutes into the music, he went to turn it off.
Yeah.
I said, "Leave that shit on, man."
Wait.
Dude. Oh my goodness. I freaking fell in love
Yeah.
with whatever the heck I was experiencing.
Yep.
The music came alive, especially psychedelically like Pink Floyd, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, dude, that was my first experience
love
with
that.
that. And I realized, wow, this is not, and I was going through so much at the time
Yeah.
that it actually it helped for mental health.
Yeah.
It was not everybody smokes for recreation, and
course.
that's mostly part of it. But a lot of people, there's medical value
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah, I mean, you have pain, you have cancer treatment. Once again, veterans, especially veterans with like PTSD and things like that. There's a lot of clinical research about it. And I think that's the thing. Like for me, you hit the nail on the head. Like I can find myself, and if you could get too high, or you're literally like a lump on a log. But like, if I get high and all of a sudden it's like there's sun shining through my window and it's going through a glass, and I'm just like, wow, that's beautiful. And like someone around might think that's funny, but for me, that's such a special thing, because like I normally don't pay attention to that glass because I'm so stuck up here.
Yes, yeah.
I wouldn't notice something so simple and beautiful around me. So it can help connect you to things in the everyday. And I think that there's a lot of power in that.
Right. GR says, "Well, until the U.S. can tax us on MJ, the propaganda will continue."
Well, and GR, you're right. Go ahead.
No, there's a bill right now that they're trying to pass to take it off federal. Finally,
and the irony is, like, I guarantee if they federally declassify it, like fucking Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos will be the first people building cannabis farms.
Yes,
you'll be getting your prime delivered fucking joints that are full of pesticides and bullshit.
Gosh, that'd be so cool. I don't know. It's interesting.
You know what I mean? So it's like, that's the thing, is that all of these, and obviously it's not even to talk about AI, and there's no discussion there, but it's like, for AI, my big argument is like, who controls the tech? You know, so I think that's the biggest thing. And very similarly, like with cannabis, it's like, I think it has a lot of healing properties, but as soon as like the powers that be, as soon as corporate entities and interests get their hands on it, they're going to strip all the good. They're going to try and make it as cheap as possible. They're going to produce it in a way, and they're going to bastardize it, because to them, it's not medicine. To them, it's not freedom. To them, it's just dollars. We're all just dollars and cents. We're algorithmically evaluated. How much money can I spend in my lifetime? That's my value to the corporate system.
Yeah. Wow. Well, in the words of Cat Williams, it's a plant, and when you set it on fire, it has some effects.
He's a legend. Cat is a legend.
You know they will. It's always about the dollar.
Truth.
Dr. Tashi says they just want to clean up my certain people to be able to benefit. Wow. So, Johnny, the tattoos. Talk to me about. I have one.
Yeah.
I have one of Superman. I have a Superman tattoo right here.
Yeah.
You have them everywhere, man. How did it start? How did that start?
I got my first tattoo when I was in my sophomore year of college. I waited that long, and ironically, I was going to school in Florida, and my favorite tattoo artist at the time was in New York. He was based in New York, but he was coming down to do a guest spot at Daytona Bike Week. Wow. And so he had one spot left, and I actually got a half sleeve, this tiger on my left arm, and my family fucking hated it. Like
Wow.
they hated it so much, especially my mom. But going back to it, I think it was just like what I grew up in. I grew up around these like mythological characters. To me, my dad's friends who were riding these motorcycles and they were big and burly and tattooed. They were like they were like stories to me. It was like Paul Bunyan. Like it was that type of thing. So I think for me, like it was always going to get to that point where I was going to get tattooed. But after my first tattoo, I actually took like a decade off. I was like, I'm not going to get a tattoo unless it has meaning to me, unless I feel good about the artist and the art. So I just got focused on other things in life and I kind of faded in and out. And then I ended up meeting my tattoo artist here in Denver. And I was running a gym at the time. And then we just sort of hit it off, and very similar backgrounds, had traveled to similar places, similar thoughts about like life and philosophy and mythology. And then we got started on this bodysuit project, and it's just sort of been going on and off ever since. So, hopefully over the next half decade or so, I'll get it all finished, and then I won't have any more skin to tattoo, and then I'll have to figure out what else to do with my time.
Yeah. Wow. You have them under your hat. You have them on.
Oh
your
yeah,
head.
my whole head, whole torso, legs, like the whole thing. Like I
So
think I have about.
is it all one pattern, or is it
It's
different
all
tattoos?
it's all different tattoos, but they're like woven together really well because it's been the same artist. So a lot of it is like Eastern mythology. There's like odes to Buddhism, Hinduism on there. A lot of stuff like that, like mythology from Bali and from Thailand and Japan and things that I was really drawn to as a child. And funny enough, a lot of people don't know this about me. I was raised Roman Orthodox Catholic, but I actually made my way into the evangelical church. So I was actually a youth leader when I was a boy. Between 12 and 14, I was literally on the corner preaching gospel. So like when I hear people in GR, for instance, is like preach, I'm like, that was a path for me at one point, was to be like the Reverend Johnny. And I was great at it. And so,
there's a sound to that.
The Reverend John, and for me at this point, I think like I'm agnostic and I respect all faiths and beliefs. I'm like, if it makes you a better person and if it guides you and brings you into community and into service to those in need, I'm 110% for it. I love that. I think, religion is so decisive because it's been used for so much wrong. At its core, it's so beautiful. It's so human and beautiful, but when it's leveraged for bad, that's disgusting. But it's like, I have love for everybody who's practicing their faith in good faith. I think it's one of the things that binds us together.
Yeah. Wow. G.R. Houston Jack says, that's sweet. She says, we're going to start passing the collection plate pretty soon.
Johnny needs the GFX.
Johnny
Let's
Edwards. I like that. The Reverend Johnny Edwards. Johnny Edwards Evangelistic Association.
There you go. Well,
like
on that note too, I'll just say this. It's really funny. Like I had to change my name. So like I'm second generation Sicilian, but my family had a lot of legal problems. So my legal last name is actually Abbrascato. So it would have been Johnny Abbrascato, which is like the ultimate Goodfellas name. Yeah, but instead I have, John Edward, which sounds like the ultimate generic white guy in America name. Like, hi, I'm John Edward.
Wow. Oh man, I could be here all day. Let's wrap it up. Let's just ask you a few more questions.
Yeah, for sure.
Now you've received recognition for your work. Has success changed your definition of what really matters?
I think it has, yeah, because I think like at a stage in my journey, I assumed that when I got to a certain point of success, that things would just be good, right? I was like, well, when I'm at a certain level, I'm not going to doubt myself anymore. I'm not going to have confidence issues. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. And then you get in the room with the greatest people in an industry and you realize that they all have self-doubt too. They all deal with imposter syndrome too. They all have confidence issues too. So I think for me, like I had this arbitrary standard that when I got to a certain point in my journey that I was going to be a different person, and that wasn't the case. I was the same person with some trophies and accolades. So, we have to do the work on our careers and our art, but we also have to do the work on ourselves, on our spirits, on our hearts, and on our beings. Yeah. So I think that journey has taught me a lot about like what success means and what progress means. And I mean, I'm in my 40s now and I don't value anything more than peace. It used to be I wanted money or I wanted success or I wanted fame or I wanted notoriety. I'm like, I just want peace now. I want to feel peace in my being. I want to be able to do what I love and I want to be able to support and love on people through that and help them out. And that's, so yeah, over the course of time, success has changed things, and then time, just age changes things too.
Yeah. So, just some fun questions. If you could photograph anyone in history, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Shoot. Damn. To be honest, I don't know. Like I go to religious figures, I go to leaders of mediums, I go to someone like, Jesus, or I go to someone like Buddha, the Buddha. I go to things like that. But ultimately, I think like if I had to answer that definitively, I think it would be my father. Like we were
Wow.
estranged when we were really young, and like he was a fucked up, he was a brilliant man like me, and I looked so much like him. But we basically parted ways when I was very young, and I didn't get a chance to see him again. So the last time I saw my dad, I was 9 years old, and so I think for all of his misgivings, I really think that he tried, and he died in prison because of his addiction and his problems. But I'd like to have a moment with my dad where I could sit him down in front of my camera and just father to son, like have a conversation and create his
Yeah.
portrait that I could hold close to my heart until I'm not here anymore.
Oh my. Wow. That's beautiful. What's one thing about Jonny Edward that people would be surprised to learn?
I think that probably that I'm like an introvert extrovert. I think people only know the extroverted side of me for most part. You know, they see me at conferences and I'm dressed well and I'm like the life of the party and I'm like dancing and I'm this and I'm that. And I look like the Tasmanian devil and I'm all manic and shit. But then they don't see me when I go back to my hotel room and like everything's off and I have some good music on and I'm literally just huddled in the corner. You know, and it's not because I don't love that. I do, but it's like I have to recharge. So like I love being around people and I love humanity and I love the chaos and I love the noise, but I also have parts of me that need silence, that need nature, that
Yeah.
just need to be
Yeah.
away from everything. So I think
Yeah.
I think like so many people, you know, we assume, like we talked about earlier, we see someone and we assume that what we see is the entirety of that person.
Yeah.
And there's usually so much more to the person than what we see. So it's that aspect that there's a quiet one, there's a reflective one. I wear sweatpants too. Johnny
Yeah.
will go to the Home Depot in some sweats and a dirty A shirt, you know, and
Yeah.
some sandals. So like it happens. It doesn't happen all the time, but it definitely happens too.
All right. Johnny, so on your before we get into that,
Yeah.
um, tell me if right now, if somebody's watching who has been through, I want you to do one of your things that you do on like on Instagram where
Yeah.
you sit there and you just motivate, inspire.
Yeah.
Can you take 2 minutes, 3 minutes, as much time as you want right
Yeah.
now? The floor is going to be all yours right now.
All right.
I want you, I don't know what better word to use, minister, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean. I
No,
don't
I
mean
got it.
minister that way,
Yeah,
but I
no.
want
No,
you
I
to
know what you mean.
minister to somebody's heart, minister to somebody who may be struggling, who may be going through some of the shit we went through. Right
Yeah.
now, somebody's struggling with maybe homelessness, or maybe they don't know how they're frustrated because they have a vision but they don't have the provision. So, Johnny, the floor is all yours.
I think the first thing for those of you who are listening is to know that if you don't have people close in your life who believe in you or who are sharing that they love you and that they support you, that you still have that, like, because you exist beyond the confines of space and time with your arm's reach. And so I would say that, like, I as a human being, legitimately, like, I see you and I love you, like, I hear you, and you're fucking important. You know, I think in this world that is so focused on metrics and vanity and fucking flashy this and that, we can lose sight of how important individual life is. And so your being and your art and your voice and your light are fucking important, and the world is better for you being present here. And I really believe that whatever you're going through right now, I firmly believe that you're going to get through it, and not in a toxically positive way. It's going to fucking suck. The hard moments are horrible. You know, they hold us down and they hold us back, and it feels like we're drowning. But at some point, you're going to come up for air, and that air is going to fill your lungs, and it's going to be one of the most beautiful moments of your life. And you're going to take this struggle and you're going to do something with it. You're going to transmute it. You're going to turn it into something. You're going to turn it into a song or a beautiful plate of food. You're going to turn it into helping those who are in need. You're going to turn it into a design. You're going to turn it into a poem. You're going to turn it into the way that you hug other people and show up for them. You're going to do something with this. And it's not going to change how it affected you, but you're not going to let it make you become a bad fucking person. You're not going to let it take your light and your spark and your fucking life. And that's beautiful. And it's brilliant. And I hope that you're proud of yourself. I hope that you're proud of yourself like you can be proud of other people. And so I would encourage you to look at yourself like you look at other people, because I think so many of us are such good caretakers. We give away so much love, and we give away so much passion, and we give away so much kindness, and we don't leave anything left on our plate for ourselves. So I would say save some of that for yourself so that you can eat. Nourish yourself, turn some of that love and compassion and kindness in on yourself. And that's not selfish. That's the opposite of selfish, because when we're well fed, when we're nourished, we can do more good in the world. So I want you to know that you're not alone, and that you are seen, and that you are loved, and that you are fucking worthy. And I don't care what anyone has said to you. I don't care if it's partners or parents or the people closest to you. They don't define you. They're projecting their bullshit onto you, and do your best to let go of that and realize that there is so much more for you in this life. And there's so much more ahead. And what you're going through right now is not the definition of your existence. It does not define who you are. And we all make mistakes. We all fuck up. We all hurt other people. We all do things we wish we didn't do. And that's just fucking human. And it's okay. And in time, peace will come. And in time, calm will come. And in time, the joy will come back and the laughter will come back. And in time, those tears will not be for horrible things, but for beautiful things. I believe that. But keep expressing yourself and keep being present and keep waking up each fucking day and do the work on behalf of yourself and on behalf of those that you love. In this time of sowing, this time of planting, this time when it looks like the soil is completely barren, it's going to give way, and like the sun is going to shine again and those flowers are going to bloom again. And it's just going to be the most magical fucking moment because you got yourself there and you didn't give up. Never give up. Tomorrow has something else in store for you. And if you need help, reach out for fucking help. There are people who want to help you, who want to support you, who want to prop you up. You're not doing this alone. You know, and if you're thinking about anything, if you're thinking about the end, like you got people who are there for you and you're loved and you'd be missed. And there's just so much fucking more. So keep your chin up, like keep your fucking chin up and just know that like legitimately there are better days ahead from someone who's been through the shit, who's been around the block, who's been to hell and back and who has fucking receipts. Like let my story be some testament to the fact that like there's a lot in store for you. And this is not an end right now. This is just the beginning.
Wow. Oh, that's so good. That's so good, Jonny. All right, let's get some last minute comments here. Salt and Silence says, fill your cup first, then you can fill others. Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Tashi says, interview, yes, you can't pour from an empty cup, right?
Truth.
Yeah. Dr. Tashi, yeah, absolutely. So, Jonny, where can we find you on social media? Tell us about your website, your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like, you know, most of the time I'm most active on Instagram. It's just, you know, I built it up there the most. So I keep updates there on the most. I share the most work. If you want to see some really ridiculous stuff, like go through my stories on any given day. It's kind of a combination of this like motivational stuff and heartfelt stuff, and then just the most unhinged memes you can possibly imagine. So if you need a mix of the madness and of the beauty and magic, like definitely check that out. I'm on Instagram at Jonny Creative, no H in Jonny, Jonny Creative. You can find everything else through there. So if you're on my Instagram, you can go to my link tree. There's stuff to my YouTube. There's stuff to my Academy and app platform. You go to my website. There's stuff about upcoming workshops and seminars and speaking appearances and stuff like that. But just slide into my DMs. Like, you know, this isn't a mask for me. This is who I really am. I love art. I love people. I love travel. I love life. I love creativity. I love humanity. And I love connecting with other human beings. So like reach out to me anytime you see me on the street, stop me. You know, drop me a line. We can talk about literally anything. And if you're struggling, just know, seriously, like I'm around. So if you need someone to talk to, so long as I'm here, so long as I'm not unconscious or on a plane flying over the ocean where I don't have service, I always do my best to stay connected to everybody and to be a conduit to connect people to one another too. So yeah, let's just connect and support each other and just keep moving this world away from darkness and toward light, because we need to do our part and embody the change we want to see in the world.
Yeah, yeah. Jonny, I am so grateful for you. You are a gift to this world, and I can see why you went through what you went through. It was to stop your voice, man, but you didn't let it stop you. So I applaud you for that. I thank you for being willing and available to join us. There was a lot of meat in this podcast. There was a lot of
our cups
meat.
overfloweth.
Right. Oh man, Jonny, thank you so much for being here.
It's been a pleasure, truly.
Please listen, anytime if we could do anything for you ever, you are welcome here anytime.
We'll run it back sometime for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. And I'll be talking to you soon, Jonny. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you. Thank you all for watching and being part of this. And yeah, just be you. Be your truest self. That's what I'll end on.
All right. Look at that. Wow. With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Wow. Wasn't Jonny amazing? Amazing. Oh, love listening to. In fact, I'm going to go listen to this right afterwards. Get a little double portion, huh? Let me see some last minute comments here. Clarissa, I see you. I see you, Clarissa. I see you, Clarissa. It's good to see you. There you go. Yeah. Thank you both so much. This was an incredible show. I'm coming to Denver when it cools down. GR. I will be going to Denver too, but it ain't for food. I'm going to go to the Rocky Mountain High. Yeah. This was a fantastic convo, Dr. Tashi says. G.R. Houston Jack gives them applause. Thank you, Johnny, says Dr. Tashi. Clarissa giving the applause. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Listen, next week, Johnny Vale is going to be here. He's making a huge Hollywood movie. He is going to be here to talk about his movie. He's going to talk about his success, his journey, his faith, the whole works. We'll see you next week, Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time to stir up the pot. Have a great evening.